So here is our trip to New York City.
And just like that, we're across the border again, and we exited through the Peace Bridge over at Erie towards Buffalo.
But we stopped off at Pennsylvania first.
Yes, dinner at Olive Garden. This is about 3 hours into the drive, and maybe we shouldn't have stopped because, winding roads. But we haven't been to an Olive Garden in eons, and I miss their food and their forever salads and breadsticks.
They had these cool iPads where you can order, but they also had games on them and trivia.
We're clearly missing Olive Gardens. So I didn't order my tour of Italy. What did you get?
I got the ziti. That's a ziti.
Yeah, I got the egg parmesan. Mason got the lasagna, which is what I usually get.
Tristan got a steak, but they gave him pasta too.
And I know. So we should have looked into that. And then from here, we were still about an hour and a half away from our hotel.
This is the next morning, though, from our hotel.
Yeah, we stayed at Tunkhannock, somewhere in Pennsylvania. Yes. A little bit north of Scranton. And then we were able to just drive 2 hours away from New York City the following morning on Saturday. Got there about 9 a.m. in the morning. Got through the Lincoln Tunnel.
Yes.
And quickly went to our parking lot where we just left our car there for the weekend. Got a preferred rate because we stayed at
the Edison Hotel.
Yes, so it's made famous because Thomas Edison actually turned on the lights on its inauguration.
But it was kind of old.
It's old because,
small.
Thomas Edison is not even around.
Yeah.
Small, I think a lot of places are small in New York. The last time we stayed in New York was at the Library Hotel, a boutique hotel closer to the New York Library, which was, She-Sheeps, but it's further from this area of Times Square.
Yep, here's Times Square with all the interactive billboards.
So we quickly took the kids there. It wasn't too busy at this time of the morning. I mean, this was like roughly around 9:30 in the morning at this point. It does look busy, but this is actually as less busy as possible. Lots of different advertising. This stadium,
stadium seating?
Seating. People usually hang out like the evening later. It's so packed.
Yeah. This is just some sports clothing.
Lots of souvenir stores going up Broadway. We're looking for our poster for Hamilton the Musical, which we're going to watch later on tonight at 8 p.m. at the Richard Rogers Theater. And then I know some of my friends, they would always grab like extra cheap tickets the next morning. I just didn't think we could one in.
So now we're walking up Broadway, heading towards the subway.
250th Street, and it's the red line going down.
They had these cool billboards.
We didn't have one for Hamilton again. So we didn't really pose by any of them, but a lot of people were posing, I guess, with the shows that they're about to watch. But there's a lot of celebrity shows here, including one with Hugh Jackman and one with also Pamela Lee Anderson.
Yep. And there's Harry Potter, Moulin Rouge.
So I'm sure, if you're so much into theater, there's a lot of different ones that you can watch on and on for matinees.
Hopefully those will come to Toronto.
I'm sure so. Come Away just left Toronto, actually.
Here's Krispy Kreme donuts.
I guess this also started in New York City. I'm not really sure.
I don't know
about that history.
And that's a souvenir shop.
Lots of souvenirs.
Applebee's.
We tried to eat at Applebee's, but there was such a long lineup later on.
And here is the subway, our first time taking it, the Equinox.
Yeah, so I was just going to get a Metro card, which is $1 for the card, and you can refill it as much as you want. One Metro card can actually swipe in 4 people, so we just got 2, one for me and one for Nick.
Yeah, last time we came to New York, we didn't try the subway, we just did taxis.
Yeah, but with a family of 5, I don't think a cab can accommodate us, so taxi it is. Although, this is actually quite close to Midtown. We could have walked it.
So here's the 9/11 Memorial.
We got off at the World Trade Center station and just right outside of the pool. So there's 2 pools here that
That's the One Trade Center?
Yep, that symbolize where the previous 2 buildings were fallen.
Yes.
And all the names of those who had passed away are etched around the perimeter of these pools. There's a water fountain that flows through, I guess symbolic of life.
And all the names are
inscribed.
Yeah.
And some of them too are inscribed by if you belong to the police force or the fireman force, they're also grouped that way. This was the surviving tree. It's called a survivor tree, and they found it in the rubble.
Yep. And they replanted it, and it's growing.
Yes, another symbol of
I heard
life.
someone saying it's a lot bigger than just a couple years ago, so
it's thriving, but you can see that it's the trunk is all charred and blackened from the soot that actually wrapped it when the incident happened.
Here's the other fountain, but there's no water.
Yeah, it's just flowing from the bottom level of the fountain. There's also a lot of different commercial spaces in this area. The last time we visited, everything was boarded around.
Yeah.
We didn't get a chance to go to the Memorial Museum just because the lineup was so long, but we ended up seeing these other World Trade Centers, and there's I think 4 different ones of them.
You mean malls?
Malls, yeah. And so I wanted to go to the one that looked like
The butterfly.
the butterfly, let's call it
Which
that.
is this
Or
one
I think
behind.
It's like Thor's helmet. No, what am I seeing here? Something.
But what is it supposed to be? A butterfly?
I didn't read into that.
Ah.
So we went inside because there's a couple of stores I wanted to visit, mainly the Moleskine Journal Boutique, which is a rarity that there's even a Moleskine Journal Boutique.
So this is inside,
Yep.
and those are interesting benches.
Yes, I think they're in the shape of clouds, but you can infer otherwise.
Yeah.
But this was a huge space. I'm sure they probably have different exhibitions here going on. But all the stores are actually in the perimeter of this space. There's actually
It's a big empty
three
space
levels.
there in the middle.
It is. I'm sure they could probably have like an artisan marketplace or who knows, like a meeting ground of sorts. But it is huge, right?
And that's the main floor. You can see
Yep. So
people
we actually
walking.
went
So
under.
it's pretty deep.
We went under it, exactly. And there's a lot of police presence at that point because there was some sort of an emergency in tower number 4,
Here's
which is
Moleskine.
not this. Yes.
And so what did you get? You got something free.
I got a couple of journals, I got a couple of notebooks, and then she also gave me tickets to One World Trade Center.
Free tickets.
Free tickets, which would have cost $45 per person, and it's to go up the tower to floor 102.
And so this is in front of the One Trade Center.
Yep.
That sculpture there.
This tower sighting wasn't even part of my itinerary. We were planning to go to the Empire State Building instead, but I will take free.
Yes.
And it gives us a different vantage point because now we're seeing the city laid out from the south end of it.
And so this is just the walkway heading towards the elevator, and so they have a lot of things to look at while you're waiting.
Yeah, so we're here pretty early on. It was still 10:15 in the morning, so there's not a lot of crowds yet happening, which was great because by the time we left, it was getting quite crowded.
Yeah.
And so it just probably loops through, and it had a presentation about all the different statistics of how they created this building.
And so this is cool. This is the elevator, and it shows the year counting upwards, and you can see all the formation of the buildings as the years go by.
As the city evolves, it's with the different dates that happen. You'll even see like when the Empire State Building and Chrysler Center went up, and also the Twin Towers, and also when they went down. Right, it's actually like on the it's like a panoramic view around us, so it's actually hard to capture all of the scenes that's happening. But as opposed to the CN Tower, where you can have a glimpse of the city out, this is all just digital design.
And there you can see the actual One Trade Center being built.
The last few years. From its ramparts, and now it is fully formed, and now we're in floor 102 where we walk out. And so we actually got tickets from Moleskine because they had an exhibit about Moleskine artists who were using it as an art tool.
Yes.
To make their own small miniature installations with it. There's presentations, I guess more facts about the New York skyline.
And here is the Statue of Liberty.
From a distance, you can see Staten Island. We're going to try to do the boat
and there's
tours
New Jersey
too. Yep. But there's too much of a lineup as well for that and crowded. So it's quite interesting because it's a 360-degree panoramic view of the entire area from north, south, east, and west. You can see the different boroughs.
So when you get out of the elevator, there's a top floor that kind of goes halfway around, but then you go down the stairs, and then you can go all 360 around.
And I think they're still developing also a glass floor because Mason and I found that piece, but it's still in construction. But you can see towards Midtown.
Is this Midtown?
Yeah, you can't. And this is the
bridge,
east part, and then we're going and then looking a little. That's the Brooklyn Bridge.
Okay.
And then looking a bit south would have been where Staten Island is.
It looks a little cloudy.
Yeah, but it's still a pretty clear day. Maybe this is just the haze of what New York City is. But it was a very sunny, hot day.
Yeah, it was 31
degrees Celsius. Yeah.
31 in May.
In May, so I can't even imagine what summer is going to feel
This is the Hudson River to the left.
Yeah, and so again, if you think about historical viewpoints when the American Revolution was happening as they're fighting for this land from the British, this is where all that battle scene was happening, which is pretty awesome if you think about it. So again, we were like here to watch Hamilton the musical this evening, and I wanted to do all sorts of Hamilton themed things actually during this trip, on top of all of the New York City sites that we were going to go visit. But lots of skyscrapers. Once the Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building went up, there was a lot of clamor for more what they call sky space.
Sky space.
Because people didn't have the technology to make skyscrapers then, but once they saw that buildings were going to be popping up, they kept on evolving the city to look and have this skyline of tons of skyscrapers. that's popped up at this point.
So here are the Moleskine exhibits.
Yeah, so there's actually several display cases that show local artists and what they do with these Moleskine journals. I mean, I usually just personally write in it, and I make my memos. I do some, rough sketches, but nothing
like this. Nothing this elaborate.
Yeah, nothing this elaborate to this level of creativity. Like, I'm always blown away by how artistic people are and how they express their artistry, and in this case using Moleskine journals.
So these are New Yorkers. Do you think that other cities also have Moleskine?
No, I believe
exhibits?
these were just local artists, because even the free journals that I got, they were from a local
But
artist.
I mean, like, say Torontonians have their own Moleskine exhibit?
Maybe, but the fact is there isn't even a Moleskine boutique here. That's a standalone.
okay.
Everything that you buy Moleskine here is through Chapters Indigo or other, separate bookstores.
Yeah.
But here there's actually a couple of Moleskine boutiques by themselves.
And so Tristan spent a lot of time just reading all
He
these
loves
little...
art. You can just leave him and he'll actually read all the different viewpoints of these artists, what made them do what they did, right? Like, where are they coming from when they create these different artworks? And again, like, it doesn't convey really how amazing these things are when you just see them on a video. But when you're right there in front of it, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
There's actually also 2 local artists who were there. I guess people were just coming up to them to talk about their works. And they probably have a different rotation of different artists who are part of the display. They probably invite them to also stand by some of their pieces that they worked on. And then there was also in the gift store of this place also a bunch of Moleskine that they were selling. And and what I ended up buying was actually a couple of Moleskine journals with pictures of New York City.
Oh, okay.
So there are some local artists who would actually design it like that.
And what's this?
I think it's just the One Trade Center itself, like an exhibit that people can read up on local things that they have.
And here is the picture we took.
Because we like being tourists standing in front of a green screen, and so we always buy it because then we get all the pictures in a little...
You get a digital
copy, right? More pictures, more pictures.
And this is the One Trade Center looking up. And so I took a view looking up. It looks pretty abstract.
Like a pyramid.
It's not ending.
You can't even see it.
It just keeps going.
I know.
And then we just pose.